So, first up, Karen Zacharias. Karen, tell me your name. I just said it. Tell me what city you're in and what your role is with the team, please.
I'm down in Ellsworth, and I guess designated team lead. So if people have questions, they can kind of focus them, send them to me, and I will work with Bill and John to get answers for you.
Thanks, Karen. Up next, Maria.
Hey, everybody. My name is Maria Bamonte, and I'm in Mondovi. And my role on the leadership team is to coordinate with the volunteers. So if you have people that you know that would like to volunteer, send them my way.
Thanks, Maria. Wendy, you're up next.
Wendy DePeso, River Falls, and I am heading up the phone banking team.
Thanks, Wendy. And so now for the rest of the team, they're going to give a little bit of presentations about why this race is important to them, what it means to them personally. And the first one up is Don Leek. So Don, we're going to share some slides that you put up and introduce yourself, let folks know where you live, and let us know why you're engaged in this campaign.
Okay, I'm Don Leek. I'm the data leader for what that's worth. Right now, I've just been compiling all the articles that have been written about this race and profiles of the candidates on our leadership team, Google Drive. Bill, I think you're getting the slides up, right? I'm from River Falls, but right now I'm in the basement of my daughter's house in Portland, Oregon. I'll be back there March 4th. So the timing is pretty good as far as participating in this campaign. I can think while Bill is, are you getting these going, Bill? Shortly.
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, I just want to thank everybody for coming to this meeting, especially those volunteers who have jobs. I'm a retired math professor from UW River Falls, so I have some time to spend on this, and I'm happy to spend it on. I just have a few slides here that Bill will put up shortly to sort of make my presentation a little bit more interesting. If he doesn't, if it's okay, I mean, if he doesn't, I can just go through my spiel.
Pressure's on, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill responds well to pressure, though. So he might even volunteer to do like a charade sort of thing where he could just act out the slides.
What do you see?
Oh, hey, there we go. Everyone see that?
Yes.
I just put this up as a title slide. I'm not going to talk about it, but this is our goal. I assume everyone knows that we're here to do phoning and canvassing, and we're going to hopefully get behind some candidate. Okay, slide 2, Bill. I became familiar with, I'm not particularly interested in Wisconsin politics until I became familiar with ultra gerrymandered Wisconsin redistricting maps of 2011, Act 43, if you will, through my work with GROW. I've been with GROW for 2 years now. That's not a long time, but it's been an eye-opener. I'm going to get to my main point right now so I can get it in under my 5 minutes. Gerrymandered maps will not be changed by the U.S. Supreme Court. They had their shot and they punted. They will not be changed by any party who dominates the state legislature because it has absolutely no political motivation to do so. Like it or not, the Supreme Court of Wisconsin, I'm going to refer to it as SCOW, is now our only recourse to fight gerrymandering. People may ask, Don, why are you so worked up about gerrymandered maps? Well, it offends my sense of fair play, gerrymandering does. I don't like it when someone changes the rules just so that they can win. Fair maps are at the base of our representative democracy, and that is why they are at the top of almost everyone's list of reasons to get involved with this election. Here is why this particular Supreme Court race is critical. Let's see those Supremes, Bill. Next slide. There they are. With the retirement of Justice Roggensack, I apologize for everybody who's up on this anyway. The court is evenly divided 3-3 on the current assembly maps. The conservatives, Justices Ziegler, Rebecca Bradley, Hagedorn, joined Roggensack in adopting the legislature's even more politically slanted assembly map known as SB 621 last April. The progressive Justice Ann Bradley, Dalit, Karofsky dissented. If a progressive justice is elected, there's a chance to reverse the course of gerrymandering in Wisconsin and perhaps lead the nation in a much needed redistricting reform. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of history. I don't know if this is necessary, but I've been looking at the court opinions and you just got to bear with me. In the next 3 slides, I want to point out evidence on how the conservative justices on the court acted on their partisan biases concerning redistricting. The conservative majority began by, next slide, Bill, please, prioritizing the least change criteria described in the Johnson versus Wisconsin Election Commission suit. Rebalancing the district populations by, quote, moving the fewest number of voters to a district other than the voter's current representative. This is otherwise known as maximizing core retention. As the 3 progressive court members noted in their dissent, least change forced any proposed assembly map to perpetuate the gerrymandered one of 2011. However, when, next slide, next cartoon, when Governor Evers won the core retention contest, Justice Hagedorn conscience made him side with the progressives. The 3 minority conservatives backtracked, arguing that core retention was not at all what they meant by least change. After all, even though that was how it was defined in the original petition and was interpreted by all the parties in the case. So Skow's adoption of the governor's maps was subsequently appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, contending that the governor's assembly map was racially gerrymandered because it had 7 majority Black voting age population districts. The U.S. Supreme Court sent the case back to Skow to further evaluate the racial gerrymandering claim. Next slide. A month later, in response, Skow's conservative majority, 1, rejected Evers's attempt to add to the record, 2, discounted the arguments given by Block, another party in the case, for 7 majority BVAP districts, and 3, refused to modify the governor's assembly map in the Milwaukee area to remedy the situation. Instead, Hagedorn meekly reversed himself, saying that Evers failed to justify the 7 major BVAP districts and that there was just not enough time for the court itself to do a thorough analysis. Unsurprisingly, the legislature's maps were declared by the conservatives to be the only race-neutral ones left in the contest. Slide 7. Please read Law Forward's Deconstructing Democracy for more on the current court. Next page, slide. This is the next page in that document. There's several other cases. My colleagues will talk about some of them in which the court dominated by the conservatives has adversely affected the lives of Wisconsinites. Slide 9, next to the last one. Skow could very well do more to encourage gerrymandering in Wisconsin in the near future by removing the governor completely from the redistricting process. Watch for news about independent state legislature theory. Justice Rebecca Bradley seems to be a proponent. This is in her dissent when the governor's maps were adopted. Last slide. Well, yeah, that one. Looking ahead to SCOW 2023 race, there's a clear choice between the progressives and the conservatives in this election, and it starts with the law schools the candidates attended. UW-Madison, that's Mitchell's law school, is consistently ranked in the top 50 law schools in the nation. Marquette Law School is about 100. Regent University, where both the conservative candidates are from, is nowhere to be found in the rankings. And Regent proudly states that its teaching of the law is given through the lens of Christianity. I don't know about you, but I prefer reason to faith when it comes to matters of the law. That's it. Next slide. You want to check me up on my facts? Here's some documents. Those opinions, slide 5, 6, 4, 5, and 6. Well, they're sort of like reading math papers. They're sort of dull reading, but you can find the real personalities of the current judges right there. And you might be surprised about what you see. Thanks. Thanks to Bev Stearney and Phil Hans from the Wisconsin State Journal for providing the cartoons. I don't know who's next up, but that's my introduction.
Thank you, Don. Fantastic. It's a lot of history there, and we're going to get all those links to everybody, and even the link to that entire slideshow, so you can share around those cartoons. And it's pretty amazing to see a mathematician dive into politics like Don has, and I really appreciate it. Not just dive in, but he's on the leadership team now. And next up, we have Dr. Danielle Johnson from Baldwin, Wisconsin. Danielle, take it away.
Oh, thanks, John. Very happy to be here. Nice to see everybody here. Yeah, like with John, some familiar faces and some not. So I am working with this group on canvassing. So I recently, the last election, ran for assembly. So I was like, I think I should keep my canvassing skills sharp and help work with GROW. And I'm really excited to work with this group. I don't have a very academic representation about what I'm going to talk about tonight, but I'm glad there's so much knowledge on this leadership team. That's very reassuring. But I wanted to talk about reproductive rights, and so how that has changed, and then how I'm hoping that something in Wisconsin will change by having another progressive on the Supreme Court. So if we could all think back to last summer, I think it was June, we kind of knew that the potential was there for Roe to be overturned. And there was something about just absolutely not being prepared for the actual reality of when that happened. And I was thinking after Roe was overturned, and realizing that the law in Wisconsin, the current law in Wisconsin, was written in 1849, before women even had the right to vote. Just thinking about why am I having such a visceral reaction to this? Like, what is this about? Let's pick it apart a little bit. And because in reality, it doesn't affect me anymore. I'm 55 years old. And the reality is, in our area, it doesn't really affect a lot of pregnant people, because for quite a long period of time, people here have already been getting their abortion health care in Minnesota, because access in Wisconsin has never been great, and has never been great for especially people of color across the state. So what is it about this change that, even though it doesn't have a tremendous amount of practical difference in people's lives, why is it so devastating? And the reality is, so here's what I came up with, why I have and continue to have such a very strong opinion. It feels like sometimes like this is the hill I would die on. And I think it's because, as a 55-year-old, from the time of puberty to menopause, I was I'm a product of Roe. I developed my education, who I am as a person, built a business, created a family. I've never actually even been pregnant, but created the family that I wanted to. And I realized that my life is different than even my older sisters. My opportunities that I have as a woman were very different than my mother, even my older sisters. And I attribute part of that freedom to the fact that that entire time through my reproductive life, my choices were my own. And even though there may not be a practical difference here in Wisconsin, especially in our part of the state, on where women and pregnant people seek abortion care, the reality is when the state, and we can say that with a capital S as the state of Wisconsin, or we can say the state, just meaning generally our government and our federal government, when the state has decided that for a particular period of a woman's life, that she does not have those choices that dictate the whole trajectory of her life, that her individual, very private matter is not her own to determine what she needs to do in her unique set of circumstances. When the state says that women cannot be depended upon to make very difficult moral decisions, it really means, the reality is it means that we are reduced to those decisions. We are reduced to that one period of time, to those one decisions, because the state has decided that it needs to intervene in that way. And there really is no equality without reproductive choice for women and pregnant people. There is no equality in this country if we don't have those choices. And here in the state of Wisconsin, when we're surrounded by states that have made different choices, and they have decided that their state is going to treat women as equal citizens, Wisconsin really needs to change it. And we need a government that will stand behind women and pregnant people. And so that's why I'm very passionate about working on this campaign, and very excited to have everyone here join us.
Thank you, Danielle. It's really good stuff. We're so glad to have you here. Anybody have any comments on that? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Go ahead and let it out. This is why this is also important to everybody. It's a huge race. The Supreme Court is really powerful and impactful. Next up is Douglas Owen Pike. Go ahead, Douglas.
Thanks, John.
Tell us where you're from.
It's really great to be part of this team. I live in the middle of nowhere, kind of northeast of Wheeler, up in the hills, and very, very fortunate to be on a wild property. Well, going back to our first Earth Day celebration in 1970, I was a high school student, and one of my friends suggested that concern for our environment was just a fad. Well, even then, I felt strongly that in order to survive, we must stay vigilant, protecting the systems that sustain us. I spent my career landscaping, specifically helping people convert sterile lawn into native habitat. Now, I manage a few acres around my home, planting native diversity, protecting these vulnerable individuals from too many deer. I installed a pollinator meadow and a nursery of oak trees that I hope will survive our changing climate. Yet this evening, I'm sad. I'm painfully aware of what we're losing. Songbirds and butterflies are disappearing. It's not just that I'll miss their beautiful colors and song. These losses are devastating. They indicate the systems we rely on for our survival are collapsing. All this life is threatened by policy choices. Our system is rigged toward those who profit exploiting natural resources. And this Wisconsin Supreme Court election is our opportunity to fight back. We can elect a judge who is aware of this injustice. will help return us toward more fair legislative districts, where our world is less gerrymandered. When legislators are then willing to listen to the concerns of their constituents, a system less overwhelmed by extraction, a new system trending toward more nurturing.
Thank you, Douglas. At the first Earth Day, Douglas was there at the first Earth Day. So this leadership team, we had some ideas of how can we get people here tonight to launch this campaign? What kind of fancy popular speaker can we get to draw people here? And then we all decided, no, let's just be ourselves. And so Wendy and Maria and Karen and Don and Danielle and Douglas have all stepped up, all volunteers, to lead this team. And you heard from them, and you heard why this is important to them, vitally important to them and their families and their neighbors, and the future for everybody long after we're all gone. And so what we're going to do now, with all of that inspiration and things to ponder, we're going to break up this group of 28 people into smaller groups. And what we want you to do for just a few minutes, say hello to each other, greet each other, let folks know where you are. And most importantly, everybody take a moment in those groups to let everybody know why you're here tonight, why this Supreme Court election has caught your attention, and why you think that you want to get involved and do a little bit more in these next 47 days. So Bill is going to put us into those rooms because I have no idea how to do it. And he's gracious and kind. And so off we go to those rooms, and we'll see you back here in, I don't know, 7-10 minutes. We'll figure it out. Was everybody in pairs like I was?
3. Yes.
3 of us.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. I don't know. I envisioned larger groups or something, but I like the small group because then everybody got a chance to talk. We're going to take a few minutes, and if anybody wants to offer up something they heard that they thought was interesting, that they thought was inspiring, go ahead and speak up, unmute yourself, and tell us something that you heard.
I'll speak up. I'm interested in this campaign because I'm tired of being 3/5 of a person when it comes to voting impact in Wisconsin.
Thank you.
I'll just repeat what I said in the chat a little while ago is I don't think it's a good idea to use the term progressive or conservative in terms of the candidates for the Supreme Court. I think that just feeds into the tribal warfare we see in this country and in this state. We need to focus on why it's so important to have good attorneys to make good legal decisions that are based on facts and based on the law, and not based on political leaning pressure.
Craig, I have to agree with you. What we can do is talk about our values and then talk about which of the candidates represent those values. And I think that's going to be particularly important after the primary is over, because we know a lot of outside money is going to be coming in from all over the country, potentially even from other countries, to try to influence the outcome of the election. And so there's going to be a lot of misinformation, probably about, I'm sure about both, whatever both candidates make it into the full election. There's going to be misinformation out there about them. And so one of the ways that we can educate voters is to make them aware, hey, lies are going to be said about both candidates. So you need to check your sources. Where are you getting, where's the information coming from? Is it valid? And then go right on back to what are the values that the candidates are representing, and do those values speak to you?
Thanks, Wendy. And thank you, everybody, for taking the time in those sections to share a little bit about why you're here and why this is important to you. And as we go forward beyond this meeting, we're going to talk more about, how we're going to, especially after the primary, how we're going to make this case for people about why they should vote, why they should come out, and why the way that GROW does things should really permeate their thinking on this entire election. And so now what we're going to do, since we are already 45 minutes in here and we want to respect everybody's time, we're going to roll through letting folks know basically what we're doing. And this is GROW's first foray into anything electoral. And so we're trying to maintain what we know here in this organization, this nonpartisan movement that we're starting here in Western Wisconsin, where we just really want to reach out and listen to all our neighbors and put the political divide aside. And how do you do that in an election? You start with a nonpartisan one. And so we're going to put a sign-up sheet into the chat for anybody who's not already on it to volunteer for our campaign going forward in these next 47 days. And there will be options on there about what you want to do: canvassing, phone banking, vote tripling, which we'll talk about in a minute, and an option where if you're not sure, then you're not sure. And we'll be in touch with you, and we will support and use our resources to guide you to really help make a difference here in Western Wisconsin. And we know that this race is going to be super tight across the state, and what we do, the people on this call, could literally make all the difference in this campaign. And so check out that link in the chat. It's a simple form to fill out and sign up so we can get in touch with you. And if you're here, that means that you want to help, and we really appreciate that. So let us know how to get in touch with you. And so next up, if you could share the screen of the calendar, and this is just our basic calendar of what we're going to be doing from now until April 4th, which is election day. Next Tuesday, the 21st, is the primary, and we will be narrowed down to 2 candidates. In all likelihood, there will be a candidate left that we are wanting to support. And there will be questions coming in from everybody. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. I haven't said that yet, about our tactics, about anything you want to ask, and we will monitor that. And if we don't get to them during this meeting, we will get to them later and get back in touch with you. But this basic outline of a plan, we are going to be having a phone banking event every Thursday evening from now until April 4th. You can see those on there. If you're someone who wants to phone bank, then you can sign up for that, and we can walk you through what that looks like. We are still talking about enabling individuals to phone bank on their own. We are, as I said, in that grounding. We are not perfectionists. We are going to keep rolling as best we can because we don't have much time left. So bear with us in that regard. On Saturdays, we're going to do a canvas for the area. We're picking up lists. We're figuring out what we're going to do. We know that the Democrats are going to be targeting likely Democrats and leaning Democrats. And so what we want to do, in the spirit of the way GROW does it, is we're going to be looking towards infrequent voters, more independent-minded people, putting lists together of those people to reach out to. We have learned and heard that a lot of people don't even know about this election. And so in the next section here, we're going to do a role play of what a canvas looks like in the way that we are envisioning it. And so this calendar will go out to you as well. And you can, lock yourself in where you think you can. On Mondays, from now until April, we're going to be focusing on campuses. And UW Stout and UW River Falls are within our area, and we already have several people who are interested in getting to work on the UW River Falls campus, as well as Stout. And we're going to be talking to students and finding out if they know about the election, if they're registered, and we'll have all that stuff at our disposal as well. So more to come on that, but generally that's the plan. And so, thank you, Bill. With that, I will go back to the agenda here. Yeah, so we're not reinventing the wheel. We're trying to do it the way GROW does it. Canvassing, phone banking. And then there's something called vote tripling that you'll see that you're able to sign up for. And Bill has a good quick explanation of what that means, what that looks like. So if you could let us know, Bill.
Yeah, thanks. Real quick, vote tripling is a new strategy that's emerging that we're going to test out. Like John said, in the spirit of not being perfectionists, we're going to give this a try and see how it goes. And what it is on election day, the strategy is to hang out around polling places where it's legally allowed. And as people are coming out of the polls after they've voted, asking them simply to text 3 of their friends to remind them to vote. It's that simple. And there's research that shows that after people vote, they're actually experiencing a little bit of a dopamine rush, and it's called the civic high, which apparently makes them more likely to say yes to something like, yeah, I'll text 3 friends and remind them. So the research is pretty good that this actually really helps turnout on the day of the election. So we're going to give this a try. And so if you want to be part of the experiment, we'd love to have you. There's a box you can check on the sign up form, and we'll figure out how to take advantage of the civic high that people are experiencing on election day.
Love it. That's maybe how they should present it to high school students. Take the civics high class and get more engagement. Love it. Okay, so next we are going to, so just and then for locations for our canvases, like we don't have that nailed down yet, but the leadership team is meeting tomorrow, and these are things that we're going to discuss. And on those Saturdays, we're thinking of launching from multiple areas. And so we're just going to throw it all out there and do everything that we can. So next we are coming into this training session where we're going to train all you people. You didn't know you were going to be trained tonight, but that's what we're going to do. And Danielle and I are going to give a brief example of how this would work. And you know, anybody who's canvassed, knocked on doors, made phone calls, you know that conversations can go a myriad of different ways. It's hard to tell. It's exciting. You're making a connection with another human. And so you could make a call script and a door script that could be 20 pages long and trying to figure out every single possibility of what could happen. But we're just going to try to keep it basic. And we're going to ask simple questions of people. And to answer the question that some of you are going to have, GROW as an organization publicly is not going to endorse a specific candidate, but this group through GROW Action, when we talk to people at doors and on the phones after February 21st, the primary, we can mention specific candidates. You can let people know who you're supporting, who most aligns with your values. And so, yes, we're going to be able to do that to answer that question. It's one we've gotten frequently, but what we have also learned is that a lot of people don't even know that an election is happening. And so Danielle is gracious enough to partake in this with me. I am going to be the canvasser, and she is going to be the one being canvassed. And we're going to knock on her door. I'm just going to give you an example of how it could go. And we'll see how, if Danielle goes easy on me, if she makes it tough, we'll see. And then afterwards, we're going to break up into pairs again, and we're going to give each of you a chance to try it out and see what happens. And then we'll come back and give a brief report on it, because this sort of thing, as I know in my time of phone banking and door knocking, as well as anybody else who's done it, it's an ongoing practice, an ongoing learning experience. And the more you do it, the more the better, not just the better you get at it, the more thrilled you get about doing it again, at least for me. So Danielle, here we go.
All right.
I'm knocking on your door outside of New Richmond. And
All right.
how do you answer that?
Well, first of all, you have to contend with the dog, but yeah, so there's always have to contend with the dogs when you're outdoors too. That's kind of fun. Hey, hi, hello.
Hi, how you doing? My name is John. I am with GROW Wisconsin, and And I'm looking for Danielle. Are you Danielle?
Yeah, I'm Danielle.
Oh, hey. Yeah, so I'm out today talking about this upcoming state Supreme Court election. Have you heard about this election?
Yeah, I have. I am aware that there is something coming up. I can't tell you exactly when it is, but I have heard that we have a spring election for the Supreme Court. I don't know any of the candidates, but I am aware that there's an election.
Yeah, okay, great. And then I start with that question because a lot of people don't even know there is an election, but I'm out here today because many things, but one thing that's really important to me are environmental issues. And I've been following the Supreme Court, and there are a lot of decisions that might be coming before them that could really impact the environment. So that's why I took the time to be out here today. Is that something that speaks to you, or is there an issue that you're most concerned about?
Yeah, for sure. I am concerned about that too. And nobody has come to my door before. This is the first time anybody's come to my door for any election. So that's pretty cool that you're out here. But yeah, I'm concerned about that kind of thing too. So I know that there's that, I definitely want to vote for, I don't know any of their names though, but I am looking to vote for somebody like that.
Oh, great. So are you planning to vote then?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to vote.
Great. And are you do you usually vote? Do you know where your polling place is? Do you know how to register? You are registered? Okay, great.
Yep. I'm registered. I voted last fall, so I know where to go. Yep.
Fantastic.
So
well, I am supporting Judge Janet because from what I've heard and what I've read, she is most aligned with my values. And I just wanted to let you know that. And so if you could look into her, I have a little information about her here. But I just thank you for your time. And if you need any assistance in figuring out where to vote or any other information I can provide, then I'll give you my information. And thank you for your time.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thanks for dropping by. Stay warm.
Thanks, Danielle. And thanks to your puppy dogs. So that's generally how it goes. It's not always that easy, not usually that easy, and you never know what might happen. But once you break that ice, it can be rewarding even beyond this election. And I didn't mean to be a prognosticator and think that Judge Protasevich is going to win, but I just did it anyway. It just came out. And so that's generally it. And I would love everybody just to give it a shot. And this is, Ellen, do you have a question or are you taking off?
I want to recommend, I'm speaking from the League of Women Voters angle because that's the organization that I'm a co-president of. You can recommend to people to look at vote411.org. 3 of the 4 judicial candidates have posted a statement in their own words, not ours. They had to do it themselves, have posted what they feel that the office is calling them to do, to run for. And you can actually read their own words on vote411.org. This is a website that the League across the country has been building for years now, and it's getting more recognition. And I think it's interesting that one of the 4 candidates has refused to put anything up. But we're running into that from a certain group of political actors. And anyway, the other 3 have, and it's useful, it's helpful.
Thanks, Ellen. And for folks who do sign up to Canvas and Phone Bank with us, we're going to have several resources that you can look over. Not that you necessarily need to memorize to present to people at the door, but just to give you more confidence when you go and talk to people. So that's really great. And thank you, Ellen. We will make note of that. And so now we're going to put folks into groups, those of you who remain, and just give it a shot. Pretend you're knocking on somebody's door and see how it goes. And if you're getting your door knocked on, have fun with it. See what you can do. It's a fun activity, and it's something that might really lead to change. Memorable experience for people who might not get somebody at their door all the time. And so now's your chance. So Bill, if you could take us into pairs, we are at an odd number now, so.
Yep. I'll send people into pairs. Just want to let you know I am dropping the link to our practice script. If that's helpful to you, you can open that up when you're in your breakout room, and it kind of gives you kind of what a flow of like what John did. So if that's helpful, you can use that. If not, you can wing it. There you go.
Thanks, Bill. Welcome back, everybody. So how'd it go? Yeah, let me hear from some people. Did anybody feel like they did well? Anybody uncomfortable? Anybody have somebody be unduly difficult?
Oh, I think Maureen did a good job.
Was that you, Sandy?
Yes.
Tell us more about that. What did Maureen do?
Well, she's so calm talking. I just get so excited. No, she's a very calm person talking.
Well, we were wondering, we were still unclear if we can, what she asked me, are you supporting a particular candidate? And I said, yes, I am. I have decided that this, I've looked at them all and I've decided that this one, Janet P., whose last name I can't say, is the one that I will back because I feel that she will bring fairness back to our system. But you should go on this website, look at what they have to say and make your own decision. But we didn't know if that was how we should do it or not.
That sounds exactly how you should do it. You can say who you're supporting, who aligns with your values, and I think while you can leave that window open for them to do their own research, that sounds perfect to me. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Or anybody else have something else they want to share about their interaction? Abe, get your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that we had a question about is, how important you guys think it is for saying that we're, with Grow or with Grow Action in particular, versus just kind of starting to talk. One thing I've found in previous canvassing is that it can be both a kind of a distraction and also require explanation to say, oh, I'm with this organization, they do this and this and this, and kind of get into all history versus just saying, hi, like I'm your neighbor from around the corner. Do you have a plan to vote? I really want to make sure my neighbors have a plan to go out and vote next week, right? So how important do you as Grow Action feel that it is to mention Grow versus, if we're comfortable doing so, just kind of diving into a discussion of who we are and as individuals and what we care about?
I think I would like to hop in on this real quick. Abe, I think that's a really good question. To Bill and John's earlier theme, perfectionism is not what we're going for. So we're certainly not going to micromanage scripts in a way where when you guys are knocking on doors and making calls, if you don't mention Grow Action, that's a bad thing. I think that for the sake of building power across issues, it's really good to get that in there. And how I would encourage you to approach it and how I think we'll finalize this script on this will be something like, hi, I'm blank, I'm a volunteer, I live around the corner, I'm with, I'm walking around with Grow Action this morning. So it really centers you as a person and as a community member and more naturally fits in that relationship to the overall group. Because I think that that's really important, and that is what Grow Action and Grow are all about.
Along those lines, will you have kind of specific language or materials about like what Grow is? Because one of the reasons I was talking about that in our subgroup is that, saying I'm with Grow will probably necessitate the conversation of what that is, because it's not going to be a household name in Menominee anyway. And even once it becomes a household name, it's still sort of like also a word in the English language, which can be confusing.
Yes, that's a great point, Rachel. Thank you. And yeah, we've thought about that too. And we are planning on having something at everybody's disposal, something that they can say about GROW and what it means, what it is to them. And
Great, thank you.
yeah, and thank you, Reba, for that input too. And I think, Abe, my take on that is, yes, I do think it's important to mention GROW, and I would hope that folks might ask what it is, because whereas when I ran as a Democrat, people already know what that is, and because of a million different reasons, it shut conversations down. I think if people ask what GROW is about, and you can get into that conversation, like if they're getting to the point where they're asking you a question about this, then that just can lead to a broader conversation. And maybe this definitely has part to do with how proud I am to be a part of this organization that is doing things differently. Like, if you can get into that conversation with them about what that means, then it stands to reason that your conversation about this election would go a lot smoother too. And so I think it's really important, at least from where I'm standing. But that's a really good question too.
And can I say something really quick that just happened to me right before this meeting? So I canvassed with GROW all summer, and I just got back from my kids' conferences, and I'm walking down the hallway and I go, did I knock on your door, to this random guy walking by? And he said, yes, you did. And he goes, I was just talking to my colleague who just went to some training in Menominee. And I'm like, that sounds like this group that knocked on my door. And he's like, was it you guys? I'm like, yes, it was us. And he was like, oh, GROW, like, that's so cool. I need to get more involved. So like, just putting all the pieces together at like this most random out of, place. He's like, yeah, that's awesome. I love what you're doing. And I want to get more involved. Your group's like still going, and so that name recognition, it was an awesome little experience.
Right. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, and that's how you, pun intended, that's how you grow this thing, Abe. And you took that training, and you're here tonight. You're not just with a few of your friends in your neighborhood. And so, yeah, thank you, Jess. Okay, so now what I want to get into the chat, the Canvas lead of this of the Supreme Court team, if you can put your information in the chat for people to get in touch with you, Danielle. The phone banking lead, Wendy, if you could put your information into the chat, how people can get in touch with you. And the recruiting lead, Maria, if you could put your information into the chat. And of course, we all have, you all have my contact information with these emails. Stay in touch with us and we can plug you into the right group. Bill, if you could put the sign-up sheet into the chat as well once more, we'd appreciate that. And I just can't tell you all how happy I am to see everybody tonight. And this is my first meeting, first time running a meeting with GROW. And this was me being very nervous. I don't know if it showed for me, but I appreciate everybody going through this. And like, it's just everybody is real here, and all these volunteers and all the people who are pushing this forward, and I just love it. And so while I love it, part of what we want to do with GROW and with everybody, and stay tuned, I have to say that too before we wrap up, we will be sending all of you that graphic we made about phone banking, and this team is going to continue to specify where we're going to launch canvases and when, and just more and more opportunities to volunteer in these next 47 days. So sign up, stay tuned, and we will be back in touch. And now what I'd like to do for the last few minutes that we have together is some feedback on this meeting. And so for those of you who stuck around this whole time on a Thursday night, giving your most precious resource, your time and attention, what'd you think about this meeting? Just put it in the chat. Just generally, what did you think went well? What did you think could have been better? And we especially like to hear what you think could have been better, because then it makes us better. So if anybody wants to think on that, any suggestions they have about staying in touch, anything, what do you think? And if you don't want to put it in that chat, if you want to speak up, tell us something.
I'm just gonna say that I think Prescott deserves some credit for being in the screen. It's just it says Juliet. And at the beginning of the meeting, it was just Prescott. So I was gonna make some comment like, Prescott or Juliet, my, how you've changed. All right. That's just classic me comment. Yeah, I thought it was a great meeting.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey, John, would you mind coming off mute and tell us what you liked about that poem?
Whenever I get a swelled head around the house, my wife reminds me that there's billions of us and we don't last very long, and that I really don't matter all that much. And that's something I think a lot of men need to be reminded of often. And I like that part of that poem echoed that sentiment, that we're just little specks. And that makes sitting with all of you and sharing the smiles, because there's been a lot of shared joy in this meeting. When somebody is happy, we all get happy. When somebody smiles, we all smile. And I think that's a very powerful thing we all did together tonight. At least for me, I think it really makes me, as much as anything that makes me glad I joined, is the little bit of joy, because these can be really hard times.
Oh, thank you, John. I'm glad you joined too, and I'm glad I asked you to share with us what you're thinking. That's beautiful. Yeah, so we have a couple questions here. And yeah, God, yeah, it's just so true. Like you can feel little, like a little speck, and also realize that when you put all those specks together in these hard times, that's what we need, is together, and that we can make a difference. And you all believe a little bit, and that's why you're here. Let's see, Abe talks about we need a better summary of the candidates, particularly Mitchell and Janet. Ellen helped with that link. That's good. Yeah, we didn't really talk much about the candidates at the beginning. Thanks for that. Douglas says, will there be a handout for those door knocking, or a link for more information on GROW or the candidates? Yes, we will have information on GROW. We will have information on voting, where to vote, especially on campuses, not especially, but also on campuses, for those students who don't know about voting, if they registered at home where they live, if they live in another state. We are going to get together some things as condensed as we can, that you can have at your disposal when you call and knock on doors. So yeah, very good question, Douglas. I'm not sure about the capacity yet to just have like a GROW flyer for everybody, but we will have that information that everybody can use. Juliet says it's inspiring to hear why folks are involved. Glad to get some chance to practice canvassing. And then she said something nice about me that I'm not going to read, but I appreciate it. Yeah, and awesome. Well, you know, I'm just glad everybody's here, and don't forget, we're just getting warmed up. Primary is Tuesday, and our first phone bank is scheduled for Thursday. So we got a lot of work to do as a leadership team to put together those lists and kind of streamline and really focus that script. And we will be in touch with all of you after this meeting in email form or in another way. Maureen says, Erica Jong said something like, the cause that is not joyful is the wrong cause. I like that. Thank you, Maureen. Really appreciate it. And so with that, I think it's a wrap. Stay tuned for an email from everybody. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to working with you all in the next 47 days and well beyond that. Yeah, so have a good night, everybody. And have a
Thank
good
you.
Vote on Tuesday.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.